Hello, welcome back to Mountain Gym Card Collectibles. I hope you're having a great week so far, considering it's a Monday. Anyway, I've been looking over some 2024 MLB Debut Patch cards over the weekend. I'd like to have an MLB Debut Patch card, but the issue that you're going to run into with these patch cards is the fact that there are a lot of these cards on the market, and the players just really don't have any name recognition, but yet the resellers are just asking, masses amounts of money for the cards. And there was kind of an article a few months ago that kind of got swept under the rug for one reason or another. People just, I don't know, they didn't seem too interested at the time. But I've kind of been going back and kind of digging into this a little bit. And, this what came from Sports Card Investor, Jeff Wilson, my biggest hero. On May 7th, this was released, about an eBay user lists 18 Topps debut patches. Okay. Now, that just doesn't seem right, to be honest, because if you do the odds on what it would be to hit these patches, I mean, they're astronomical. They really are. So I'm not sure if this individual was just purchasing these cards as they hit the market. But this thing from Sports Card Investor, user on eBay has just listed 18 2024 Topps debut patches. Do you think these are legit or are these fake? Well, they're all slabbed up, SGC slabs. So you can pretty much assume that they are legitimate. But the thing is like I said, what are the odds? I mean, you'd have to have a lot of money for one. And maybe this is like a millionaire, who's buying up these cards, getting them graded. That's very possible. So, as I'm going down here, like it says here, I think the legitimacy of the seller isn't what that question. I think some may wonder how one person could acquire all of these cards. I wonder if the seller ripped boxes to get these or bought them off other sellers. Let's see what the reply is. Absolutely bought them all, not trying to flip them to the players. Okay. We don't know what the story is. Okay. And maybe that's the issue, is trying to sell them to the players. But right here, not a single, even semi-decent name. Laugh out loud. Okay. LOL. All right. So that's just a few of the comments. And, if you look here, there's some more pictures. And, we can take a closer look at these, And this is just on the slide, that I'm going over. And legitimately, I think people want to believe that, there's some chicanery going on here. I don't believe that there is. But then again, you have to ask yourself, how did this person manage to get all these cards, Because these are rarities. They really are. I mean, they're all one-of-ones, I mean, you have your, Victor Scott II, Hudson, Hancock, Gonzalez. I'm just saying the last names, These aren't big players, The Christian Incarnation Strand, we have Knack, Willingham, Marlowe. And then let's take a look at these ones. I think some of these are the same that we just went over. Is that Victor Scott? It's kind of blurry. Hudson. Matt Sauer, the Bible reference. There's the Christian Incarnation Strand again. And these are all have big prices on them, $35,000, $20,000, $15,000, $12,000. What is this? Davis Schneider, Lennon Neck, Hernandez, Hancock, Gonzalez, Willingham, Marlowe, Barossa. Now, it says 18. But all you have to do is type in, I'm not even going to go to eBay to do it, I'm not going to dox the seller or anything, But I went to the seller's account on this. I actually counted. He has more than 18. He has 24 2024 MLB debut patch cards, the autos. 24 now. So he could have been, picking up more of these cards, I guess, I mean, he has such a grand collection, you could almost call it like a museum, to be honest. But the thing is that I noticed is, well, they're not selling. And why are they not selling? Well, they have fairly high prices on them, I mean, high for me anyway. I mean, for most people, they're expensive, especially with, in today's economy. But it's the names, it's the names that obviously aren't attracting people to these cards. And you have to ask yourself, you can put big prices on cards, but if nobody's liking, the player, or if they're not really, crazy about the player, if the player doesn't have much name recognition, does it really matter, And I know Michael Rubin came out and said that, this is the greatest thing that Topps Fanatics has designed, created, that's new to the market. Well, it might be that for the big players, but the sense that I get, from this account, and anyone can go there and chase down, these cards, just type in 2024 Topps MLB Debut Patch cards, and they're going to pull up, and track down, the seller, and you can look at his cards too. 24 of these cards, but you're going to say the same thing that I'm saying. These players don't really have any name recognition, and you begin to ask yourself, well, what is the future of these MLB Topps debut patch cards that they hype up so much? Yeah, they're great for big players, but these smaller players, are they going to end up in the dollar bin at my local card shop eventually? That's just it about some of these debut patch cards. And I know that right now, kind of the first release, they're really the hot item to chase, I'm chasing them, obviously checking them out, but overall, there's a lot of, well, not a lot of sellers, but, there's sellers on eBay, wherever, that are trying to really sell kind of no-name players for big price tags. And it's not going to work out, in my opinion, because, well, I mean, you can go to the seller and count all the cards, and just look at it for yourself and go, well, maybe he should lower the prices on these, And I'm sure that those cards would begin to sell if they didn't have such major price tags on them, because of the fact that, well, these just aren't players that are worthy of the price tags, to be quite honest. I mean, who wants to sit around with a $12,000 Topps MLB debut patch card of a player that no one has ever heard of? And you eventually have to see that it's going to be a race to the bottom on a lot of these cards. Now, on the majority of these cards, because the majority of players in the league are not big name players, unfortunately. I mean, all I have to do is, go through my years and years of baseball cards, and I have, so many just no name players, then I can list them on eBay. They won't sell, and so Michael Rubin's, big invention, and Topps Fanatics' big invention, I think, has just kind of gone flat. And if you're someone like this individual who has 24 2024 MLB debut patch auto cards, well, You could almost write like a folk song, 2024 MLB debut patch cards, which I thought was interesting. And maybe he intentionally did that. He has 24 listed on eBay, but it kind of feels like you're looking at a museum of players that nobody cares about. You know what I mean? It's kind of funny. And honestly, I don't feel like there's any chicanery going on with this account. I'm guessing this individual has probably tracked down these cards and had them graded, and probably put a lot of money into this effort. I don't know if the effort's going to be worth it in the end. You know what I mean? It's kind of like me going back and I'm going to grade a bunch of my, 1980s rookie cards of just no-name players. What's the point? You know what I mean? And they're the rookie cards of 1980s. They didn't have, these big MLB debut patch cards, that they just keep trying to hype up to no end, that people really feel like they're the cat's meow. But it's kind of turning into a joke. You know what I mean? And I know that the big Paul Skenes chase, everybody was chasing the MLB debut card for Paul Skenes, that Livy Dunn, I could see marrying over Paul Skenes himself. That's just it, the way they hype up that card. So yeah, in the future, I believe that these MLB debut patch cards are going to eventually turn out to be something that people didn't expect. And I know that out the gates, everyone's going, this is the best thing, to hit sports cards and da-da-da-da-da. But when you begin to, look behind the curtains, behind the scenes, digging into these cards, were they just overhyped? Yeah, you can hype them up for the big name players. Yeah, I do see the value there. I really do. But it's all the players that don't really carry any names, or a big name really at all. And this seller is trying to sell this stuff, top dollar. I get rich. I get it. That's the eBay way, But who's going to buy them? Who's going to buy the cards of these no-name players? And the only way I would buy them is if they were marked really at a low price. That's just it. Just like any other, sports card that doesn't have any name recognition. So I'm just curious if this individual's museum is going to continue to burst from, his 2024 MLB debut patch auto cards. How many more is he going to get? 2025 MLB debut patch cards will be coming out, sometime within the next few months, or the big chase, I should say, and is it worth it? That's just it. Is it worth it? And to a certain degree, I just don't feel like it is. It's just, to me, when I look at these debut patch cards of these no-name players, I just go, well, who cares? Just like any other card, man. I don't want to be cursed with something like that, where I dump a bunch of money into and nobody wants the card, So anyway, how do you feel about these? The 2024 MLB debut patch cards of no-name players. Is it really kind of speaking to the truth of the card? I believe it is. So, I'd like to thank my subscribers. You're the reason I keep doing these shows. I'd like to thank my new subscribers. Thanks for, hitting the button. And if you haven't subscribed yet as a viewer, it's 100% free and it'll really help my channel out. Anyway, I hope you have a great day. I'm out of here. Bye.